Hey friends, so today we are going to make an Easter tote, a very colorful, cute Easter tote. So when my kids were little and we had like the Easter baskets and everything, I spent so much time trying to make these perfect, beautiful Easter baskets that when it came time to do the Easter egg hunt, I didn't want them like dumping everything out on the ground. So I started making these totes for them. I've made buckets and different kinds of things, but like a cheaper version of the basket that they could drag around in the yard. And so this year we are gonna be Easter egg hunting with some nieces and some other kids. And so I wanted to make these little totes for them. And I have to say that I think they turned out really, really cute. I wanted to incorporate Jesus into the design. And so I thought about it and thought about like what rhymes with Hippity Hop. And so I made this design that says, Hippity Hop, Jesus took my spot. So of course he died on the cross for us. And I think it's really great to, you know, enjoy all the bunnies and everything of Easter, but it's also important to remember who made all of this possible. So anyway, we're gonna make this really, really cute tote. We're going to layer iron on, and actually, okay, so I divided this video into two pieces because it's kind of long. So there's the first piece is all Design Space. So I'm gonna walk you through Design Space. How do you upload the design? How do you change the colors? How do you move things around? How do you resize? Making sure you mirror image, all that stuff before you send it to cut. And then the second half of the video is going to be all about the actual crafting. So if you know how to do that first piece, look down in the comments below, down in the description, and I'm going to tell you exactly when that second piece begins, like what minute it begins, and so you can just kind of zoom forward and get to the crafting piece. But if you don't know how to do that first piece, then stick around. I'll show you from beginning to end. The last thing is make sure you hop down and get my design. I'm giving it away for free to all my readers and subscribers for the first week, and then it's just pennies in my Etsy shop after that. But make sure you grab the design and come craft with me. You are crafting with Kim Byers at the Celebration Shop. I'll meet you in Design Space. Now inside Cricut Design Space, I have a new project open, and we're going to upload the design. So we go to upload. Now just to save time, I've already uploaded the design, but basically you'll click this button, upload image, and wherever you saved it onto your computer, then you'll bring it in. When you do that, it's going to look like this. So you notice that everything is not colored anymore, everything's black, so you'll be turning all your colors back, but you'll also see that the ears are on top of the hippity. That's okay, it's all okay. So just click on it and then insert images. And when you bring this in, because this is an SVG file and I set all of the individual pieces up this way, they're going to come in separately so that you'll be able to change the colors, you'll be able to group them, ungroup them, do whatever you need to do for your project. The first thing we're going to do to this design is we're going to click on it, and you're going to see that it is all one piece. So what we're going to do is ungroup it. Okay, so now that we've ungrouped it, all of these individual pieces can be selected, and you're just changing the colors for those one pieces, or for that one piece. So we're going to just start at the top. We're going to start with the grass. Let me move this back up center. Okay, we're going to start with the grass, and we're going to change that color back to green. We'll open, I skipped, but that's okay. Hold on. We'll change the cross to brown. We will go back to Jesus, and see when you select it, even though we've ungrouped it, because I put them in specific layers, the design is going to hold those pieces together. Okay, so Jesus, we will make that purple. We're going to use a bright purple. Actually, we're going to use a purple glitter iron-on. Okay, and then we'll go to Hippity Hop. And we want to select that entire group, because if you look, hop, hippity, and then the two dots are all actually individual pieces. And so we want to make sure that we've selected the entire thing. We're going to change that color to pink. And actually our pink that we're going to be using is much brighter than the option that they give you. So just to be representative of what it's actually going to look like, go in and select a brighter pink. And then took my spot Actually, again, I selected and went way down to the bottom. So we're going to, I took my spot, we're going to make that blue, I think. And then Happy Easter. And we're going to let that be yellow. So we have lots of bright, beautiful colors in this design. And then now we want to work with our ears. So when you select the ears, you'll see there are actually two different layers. So we're going to layer a little bit of iron-on in this project. So this interior piece is going to be pink, and because I want it to be the same pink that I have here, we're going to hold off on that for 1 second and go to the other set. Okay, and we're going to make those white. Okay, so now we're going to go to Color Sync. And I love Color Sync because you don't have to guess what color you actually used so that things go onto the mat together. And so we're going to take these bunny ears and just drag them down to the pink. So we're going to be using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 colors in this project. But I think it's going to be absolutely darling, these bright, beautiful colors for Easter. So my tote is 17 inches by 15 inches. So to give yourself a better idea of what this is going to look like on your actual canvas, what I like to do is I go over into Shapes, and I'm just going to select a square. So once that pops in, I'm going to unlock it, and then I'm going to make it larger. I'm actually going to make it 15 by 17. So if we go up to here, we're going to have 15 and 17. Okay, so that's how large my tote is. And so to be able to see everything, we'll reduce the size. Oh, and I have it flipped. Sorry about that. So 17 and 15. Okay, so this is the size of my tote. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, one, turn it white. And then I'm also going to go to Arrange and send it to back so that now my design is on top of my tote and I can get an idea of what it's going to look like. Now, as you can see, this design is kind of small for my tote. So there we go. I'm thinking I want to make my design just a little bit larger. And the other thing you could do if your tote was oddly shaped or something, because all these pieces are individual within here, you could move things around if you wanted to. If you wanted to take off the Easter, you could do that. If you wanted to flip it to the side, you could do that. You see this symbol right here? You just literally flip things. So like turn it. I don't want to do that, so I'm going to undo, but you could. So now I'm going to just hide my square for a moment, select all, and I'm going to make my design just a little bit larger. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to my rectangle and turn it back on and move my backdrop tote. So I'm thinking that is a good size for my tote. Now the things you have to keep in mind obviously is, do you have enough material, meaning enough iron-on, and do you have a mat large enough to cut these? And I'm not quite sure, right? I haven't really looked to see how long now that I've made these pieces. So what we're going to do is we're just going to hide our square and we're going to select Make It and see how these come onto our mat. So there's our white mat, our brown. So we'll fix that. So it actually did not keep them in order. Again, we'll fix that. So there's our grass. Took my spot. Didn't keep Jesus in order either. That's fine. We're going to fix that. I'm actually glad this happened because now I can show you how that you will keep those together. And I should have attached them while we were over there. So let's hit cancel. Okay, so now for each one, so we're going to take Jesus. It's our first piece. Attach. So now that Jesus is attached, when you send it to Matt, which you'll see in just one moment, it'll all be together in the right order on the mat. Okay, so then we're going to take Hippity Hop and attach. And then took my spot, was already in correctly, and then Happy Easter, attach, There we go. Okay, so these others we don't want to attach, and I'm going to leave the pink ears separate just because I want to iron on this white behind it, and then I'll iron on the pink on top of it. Okay, so now let's hit make it again. White, brown. Look at that. Happy Easter, perfectly spaced, and all of the letters are in the right order. There's our grass. Took my spot. Jesus, good deal. And Hippity Hop. And again. So to mirror image, it's actually very easy. So we're on the pink mat. Select mirror image. You see it just flips it. And again, you can move this up some if you want to make sure that you're saving as much material as possible. I'm just going to flip those back so they're more even. Okay, and then we select continue. Now my maker is already attached to my computer, so you'll see that here, but if yours is not, this is going to be that, you know, kind of reminder to plug everything in and get it set up. And of course you can use mobile if you prefer. Okay, so then I'm going to be using everyday iron-on, and I've already selected that as a favorite, so it was on that grouping of items. But if you wanted to use something else, do you see browse all materials? You would select this and it gives you just an enormous amount of materials that you can pick from, but we're going to use the everyday iron-on. Okay, and it's just going to be our normal fine point blade, and everything's ready here to go to the mat. So let's hop over to the craft table and I'll show you all of the supplies and then we'll start cutting. Okay, so now on the craft table we have the Cricut Maker, and I have actually this is the smallest of the 3 sizes of EasyPress 2, and I'm using it because I have so many different colors in this project and I'm going to be putting them on in different pieces that I wanted to use the small ones so that I could get around the design. So then I also have a weeding tool, a straight edge ruler, and my mat and a canvas. And I have many, many different colors of iron-on. So now for each of your 7 colors, you're going to need a standard mat, and you see this one's been used a little bit, but it's still pretty sticky. When it's not, I tend to put some Scotch tape or something at the corners just to hold it down to get a little more life out of the mat. But you're gonna look at Design Space, see how large the piece of material needs to be, cut it that exact size so that you don't waste, and then we're going to take this over to the machine and cut it. Once we come back, we're going to weed. Okay, so I have now cut this out. We're going to take it off the mat, put our mat to the side, pull off my Scotch tape, which looks like I've used a couple of times. Waste not, want not, right? Okay, so then with this glitter, it actually weeds super easy. You can almost do it with your hands, but for the everyday iron-on, I actually did use my weeding tool. So we're gonna go ahead and weed this, and then I'll show you how to put it on the canvas. So here's my canvas, and I've laid each of the pieces approximately where they need to be on the canvas. But what you want to do is take a ruler, and this is my favorite. I love an 18-inch ruler. It's 3 by 18 and it's clear. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure my canvas again, 17 inches. My halfway point is going to be 8.5. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that one of my elements is in the center, and we're going to do that one piece, and then we're going to go back and put all the rest on. I'm going to start with Hippity Hop because it's my top element. I know that this is about where I want it to be. It'll be easier to do everything below that once I have it in place. And I'm going to do the ears actually first. So I need to measure Hippity Hop, get it exactly where I want it to be, do the ears because it's behind the lettering. We'll do it and peel it away, and then we'll put the next layer with Hippity Hop on it, and then we will iron. Do not make the mistake of leaving them together and trying to iron them on, because this top will adhere to it and then you won't be able to peel the two away. Okay, let's get going. Okay, so now we're centered, and I did not count the wispy ends, but basically there are 5 inches on either side, just because these wispy ends are different lengths. So we're going to take off our ruler and we're gonna hold down our ears and pull away Hippity Hop. We want the ears to stay in place, and we're going to put our EasyPress mat underneath. Now, looking at the quick reference guide online for the EasyPress and for canvas mat and for everyday iron-on, we need it at 340 degrees, 340 for 30 seconds. So we're gonna put it on the front and hit go, light pressure, and then once this is done, we're gonna flip it over and do 15 seconds on the back. So when I flipped over and ironed the back side of it, the adhesive piece or the protective piece fell right off, which means it's perfectly adhered. So great. Okay, so now we're going to take Hippity Hop and put it over the top, just right over the top of the ears where we want it to be. And again, you could take your ruler and just make sure that your lines are straight, that your letters are hitting where they should. And then we'll go ahead and do the same to this. And if you notice, I actually swapped out for my larger EasyPress mat just because this piece is so big. I didn't want, you know, one side falling off there or the other. And I do have the larger EasyPress, which would be good for these long letters. But since I already have this one heated and ready to go, and I do have some tiny elements, I'm just gonna keep using the small guy. And just one more quick thing to note. So take a piece of that film, that protective film that's already come off, and put it back over the top of your ears, because you don't want this to be directly on your iron-on. So you want there to be that protective film when you're layering. Okay, here we go. I want to show you one more thing before I do the rest. So now that we've layered this one, just pull off, always at an angle, pull off that extra protective piece that you put over the ears. And then you want this to have just a couple of seconds to cool off once you take the press off, but you don't want it to be cold. You definitely want to peel this away while it's still warm. And you're going to come always from the corner and test it. And if you see that it's pulling up, and this one is just a little bit, if it's pulling up, then do it again. So let's put this back on top. And then we're going to do this process one more time. And then when you peel it away, peel from the edge and peel up at an angle. Our Hippity Hop is applied, and it looks so pretty and so bright. It's such a bright, bold pink. I love it. And now for Jesus, which is a glitter iron-on, we're going to reduce the heat down to 270. And we are using a foil for our cross, and the foil heat is 290. So I just wanted to point out to you that all of these have different temperatures based on what type of iron-on they are. So make sure that you check the quick reference guide. So we're going to go ahead and put down Jesus, and then we'll move on to the other elements. Okay, so we're on our last element, and we're just going to layer on our bunny ears. One thing I wanted to note about all of these different elements is this is everyday, this is glitter, everyday, this is foil. And the foil, although all of these you will peel them away when they're warm, with foil you must wait until it's cool. If you don't, it will bubble and it will look terrible. And then when you're layering the everyday on top of it, just be super careful and make sure that you have an extra piece of the covering over the top of this. And I actually recommend that, because this is foil, wait a little bit longer than you normally would. Let it cool just a little bit more, and then peel this everyday, this grass, away from the cross. Okay, so for these, what we're going to do is we're going to place them where they need to be. We're going to cover them with another piece or a used piece of protective sheet, and then we are going to simply iron it on. Okay, so I have an extra piece, and then we're going to place our little bunny ears where we want them to be, just making sure that they're in the right spot. And you'll note from the design they are closer to one side than the other, so don't think that you have something wrong and then you need to cut them apart. That's actually the way that they are supposed to be. Okay, and then to protect the white, we're just going to put another piece on top of it, iron it on, and then our tote is done. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed crafting with me as much as I enjoyed crafting with you, and I hope that you will hop down below and grab those files. Again, free for the first week to all of my readers and subscribers, and if you haven't subscribed, make sure that you do that. Just pop over, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss any of the future videos and any of the future freebies. And I thank you guys for being here, and I will see you next time.